You can just go ahead.
Ah,
She's
okay.
she's here. Yeah.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. So this is my first time. Hi. This is my first time being a chairperson, and today I'm going to be a chairperson, and Gray will help me to be a secretary, and Jing will record. Okay, we're going to discuss about this. I think I'm going to discuss about the Gray is case first. So Gray, please elaborate it.
Yes, thank you very much, Muti. So for today, I didn't break a failed case. I bring a converted one. So for this one, there I broke down it to the analysis. So for the identification, so this guest used to be our monthly guest at Drua Villa. Previously, I am the one that converted her deal also. So I see this as a high chance of converting the deal with her again because I already knew her. Build trust and engagement since I already knew her beforehand. She also trusts us more on her dealing. So I do some labeling that she's trying to find more serene atmosphere since she's currently in Ubud right now after moving from Bukit. Discovery. This guest is always quite straightforward and to the point, so it's better to talk to her straightly and offer what she's asking for rather than going around and asking unrelevant questions. So for pattern matching, so the guest already inquired she wants to stay for 2 weeks. And I tell her our offer for 2 weeks, also trying to persuade her that it's lower than usual because she's our repeater guest. She offers to 1 month with a budget that's the same as her previous deal. And I asked to the owner and he agrees. But she said she needs to pay at the 18th because she will got her salary at that time. So as you see from the chat, it's a huge chance to convert if we really can allow her to pay at the 18th because she's kind of basically a bit of like a subtle begging because she was like it will be such a huge favor if you allow me to pay at the 18th. So I'm like, oh, if I can really get her to pay at the 18th, then she will probably deal it. And I asked the owner again because it depends on the owner, right? um, whether he wants to accept it or not, and he actually say yes, and he agreed because he also trusts the guest because he already knew her quite well. So yeah, I processed the contract and she signed it. So yes, it got converted by closing the deal. Yes.
Yay.
That's my case for today. I thought of bringing like a more happy case rather than a failed case one. Once in a while. Yes, that's from me. Back to you, Muti.
Thank you so much, Gray. This is very inspiring. So me as a new coming here, I could be like very inspiring, yeah, from your story. It's very easy to get comfort, yeah, for you. So yeah, over to Irma. Do you have anything like to improve this or something, Irma? Because this is our repeater guest.
Okay, let me open my codec first. Um, yes, but yes, I agree. I think it's already great. It's already great, and the customer has found the property that they wanted. But uh, I think we can more elaborate about how much the people that they want to bring it and more discovery about it. Like this for me.
Ah, okay, Irma. So, you mean that we have to clarify about the guests that want to stay in Drua Villa?
Yeah.
Okay, Irma. Thank you. Back to Gray. What do you think, Gray?
That's actually quite interesting. I never really thought about that because I kind of already knew by instinct how many people are
There's
gonna
no
stay. But I think that's a
That's why we have.
good way to cross check.
Yeah.
Is it still the same amount of guests? Because right, she already had a pause right before, and she goes to boot and bring back. But yeah, thank you, Irma, for the input. I will try to do that next time, even though it's still a repurchase.
Okay. Thank you, great. Thank you, Irma. And let's hear from
I believe Mr. Jing wants to talk.
yes,
Muti.
Mr. Jing, please.
Actually, let's pass this over to Nadine first. Nadine, what do you see here, and what's your analysis?
Okay, so actually my analysis is Gray already discovered the guest very well. Actually, she built trust already. The engagement is already built as well. So it as we always discuss in every meeting, once we actually settle the first three steps, it becomes easier to persuade and do the pattern match. That's it. So I think Gray already win on identifications and also engagement, build trust, and also discover. And yeah, I think this is a good example of doing these three stages
Successful.
very well that everybody can learn from.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, very good. Here's something I'm gonna say. Yeah, I would give this it's definitely a medal, but it's probably a silver medal, not quite a gold medal, and this is why. I'll show you. I'll show you what happened here. This is actually kind of funny. Let's go up to the very top again. Great. No disrespect, right? I really appreciate that this deal was closed, but let me actually point out a few things and see if you guys notice this. Okay, let's go ahead and open up the conversation right here. Okay, who is negotiating? Is it Gray or is it the guest?
It's her.
Right. Who is getting the other person more to see their point of view? Is it the guest or is it Gray?
It's her.
Right, right. Okay, you see that, right? Because the guest is negotiating for lower, right? And the guest is also negotiating for more time. And we're saying yes in each particular time, right? So think of it, it's not a bad thing to actually how would I say reach a deal, right? We all want to reach a deal. But let's see how you could do this differently if you really want to negotiate back, okay? So this is what I want to help this is why we have this chapter, right? So that if you want to negotiate, sometimes you don't need to come down. Sometimes you can stay right where you are, stand your ground, and see how you do that, right? Sometimes you can get the person to pay also. Remember, if they want something, be willing to exchange for something back, right? So they got two benefits. They got a lower price and actually a longer time to pay. What do we get in return back, right? So that's something we need to think about when you think about the balance of transfer here. Okay, so let's go and try to like go into this part here. The breakdown is right here. What kind of deal could you offer me for that period? Okay, so that's actually kind of interesting. Yes, you are correct. We have this is probably a stage 2 right now. If they're willing to ask you for a deal, you have their trust. Okay, but this is where kind of it's a discovery situation. Um, and let's go to Nadine here. Nadine, she asked what kind of deal we can offer. What are the only options that we can do at the point? What are our options to respond if we get asked for what's the best deal we can offer?
What do you mean, sir? I didn't get your question.
Okay, so if somebody asks you, let's say for this, right? If the guest asks you, what kind of deal can you give for me? How should you respond in this particular case?
It's what kind of deal that you can offer for me.
Hmm.
It will be various actually. Depends on they. I need to discover their desire first. Like for
Right.
example, yeah. For example, the last guest I had, so the guest is actually want a lower price and also want to pay the deposit first.
Hmm.
And then we see that actually I can go lower, but I'm kind of like apa namanya stand in this price first,
Right.
and then I see if we can actually give you this. I will let you do the deposit, but the price still in this price.
Right.
That's my offer actually.
Okay.
That's my best deal actually.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. Yes, that is actually a good exchange. So, for everybody here, this is another guideline we can use. If I can do this for you, would you do this? Right? If I can do this, would you do this? Ask for the exchange. If you don't ask for anything back, then what you have is what happens here. This is called a runaway deal. A runaway deal is when they ask for something, they get yes from you. And then they ask for something more, and they get yes from you. And then they get one more thing, right? And they get yes from you. So you start losing control over the deal because now you've given them a pattern of yes, 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 right? So anything they come back to is also going to be yes. This is actually a negotiation technique, right? You get a small yes first, then you ask for a middle yes, and then you get a third bigger yes the third time you ask because the counterparty has already been in a habit of saying yes, yes, yes. The way to counter against it is to make an exchange, right? If I give you this, will you do this for me today, right? So let's say for example, Greg here said, we can give you this deal, but you need to pay right now, right? Would you be willing to do that, right? Then guess what they have to decide? They have to decide whether to pay more, right, and get a delayed payment, or pay now and get the whole thing. Okay, then you have framed that situation. But now, because you haven't asked for the exchange, they come back and they ask a second ask, and then you give another yes, right? So you've lost a bit of ground. So let's say we did this, right? Let's go back to the very beginning again. I go, let's say to Gray comes to me, right? I ask Gray, what kind of deal can you give? Gray comes back and says, well, this is the best thing I can give right now, right? 3 million is generally what I give for 2 weeks. Now, great, you did correctly there. That is correct because you anchored the deal right at 6 million now for a month. Okay, 3 million 2 weeks is essentially 6 million for a month. Right, so that's the anchor. So they come back really quickly. They come back within about 15 minutes, yeah, and they write back, that's a bit over our budget. What's the deal right away? And they come back with a budget. Actually, that part is actually pretty good. So let's pretend everyone that they did not come back with an actual number. They just said that's a bit over our budget. Let's go to Muti. Muti, what should you say in that particular case?
I would approach the guest again
And ask for what?
and ask, hello, what do you think about my offer, like that?
No, 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 no. They just come back to you and they say that's a bit over my budget. Period. Right. What should you then
Mhm.
ask in return?
I will give the best deal.
No, no, no. You don't do that. You've already given a deal, right? You've given a deal already. You've already anchored it at 3 million for 2 weeks.
Mm.
If you give another deal, it means that you have no confidence in your price and you're fishing, right? You're just throwing numbers out there and hoping that they're going to get on something. They also then know that you don't know about what your prices are, and then they will just keep on asking for a lower price. So let's go to Irma. Irma, what should you return with if they say, "Hey, look, it's a bit over my budget." Period.
Uh, if I say about a specific budget with her,
Hmm.
is maybe can give a little bit lower or just this price, but we sebutin nama gitu. It
No,
cannot.
no, 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 no. Don't go that direction either, right? Because that's not a fair exchange, right? You
Oh,
have given them already your offer, right? They have not accepted it. So you need to go a different direction. Let's go to Bai. Bai, what would you say? Yeah. Well, let's go through. Great.
Maybe.
Huh?
Okay.
Great.
Should
Bai, what
we
do you think?
ask? Yeah. Should we ask their budget?
Yes, that is correct. That is absolutely correct. So if then, right? If you give me your budget, then I can work with what you have on hand, right? So then that creates an exchange. You don't keep on going down and hoping that, because guess what? If you go down, think about the psychology from the guest side, right? You ask for 6 million, and then you come back after I say the budget's too high, you give me five, right? Then I just go not good enough. I just keep on doing that because I know that you probably will keep on dropping if you don't ask for something back from me, right? So you can go like this, right? Accusation audit. You might think I'm trying to negotiate, but all I really want to do is for you to become my next guest. Okay. So how about this? How about you tell me what you're comfortable paying, And then I will then represent that and I will respect that budget and see what I can do. Okay. So then that allows for some commitment to happen on their side too. So remember, everyone, don't keep on giving, giving, giving. Ask for something back because that's what negotiation is about. There's a balance of trade. When you see yourselves in the market, right? Let's say, for example, somebody tries to sell you, let's say they sell you this hand phone, right? They go, hey, cheap hand phone, only 10 million. And you walk away, nine. Then you go, if I walked away a little bit more, would you drop it to eight, right? In fact, I don't even know, right? A smart person would go, okay, I see that you're probably not interested at 10, but you're here in this market, you're shopping for a phone. What's your budget, right? Well, thank you for asking. My budget's only five. Ah, five. Okay, well, at least then we can start working somewhere. So we know it's probably, I'm not going to sell for five. You're not going to buy for 10. So we know the number is somewhere in between, right? But if I didn't ask that, I would have to keep on dropping, 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 dropping. And maybe you would have paid maybe I can sell for four and still make money, right? And you tell me five, I go, done. Here you go. Here, how would you like your new phone right now, right? So this balance of trade is super important. And don't lose that. Okay. But in this case, they already gave you a budget, which is actually very. It shows that they're not entirely skilled on negotiating as well. If they're really skilled, they would not give a budget. They would ask you to actually keep on dragging that out of them. So they gave you a budget. Okay. All right, let's follow this and think of what the other pathway could have been. If they said 3.7 million, what can we do? We can label, right? 3.7 million question mark, right? That's quite a discount from 6 million a month, right? Question mark. Looks like you want to find a discount. So label and rebuild trust again. Because yes, you certainly trust them, but they trust you too, right? They trust you are going to give them a good deal. That's why they probably want to renew with you. So we need to kind of drill a little bit further into this particular deal. I would say, that's about 50% off. Sounds like you're looking for a bargain. And they could tell you more about that. That gets that process of discovery started again. 3.7 is pretty low. That's about 50% off. I'm not sure if the owner will take that. Would you be able to do a little bit better, right? So that we can get this to you right away. They say, no, that's all I can do. Okay, fine. But if I get you 3.7 million, could you book this today? Right. And then you have then locked them into this particular thing. Or you can book it on a future date, right? And I can give it to you for the higher price, right? For the future date. So that's how you would essentially balance the negotiation out from this particular window. Okay, so does everyone get it? Don't exchange without getting something back. Right? The dimensions of a deal are many. Right? I can give you that price, but I have to take away the extra bet. Right? I can give you that price, but there won't be anybody to meet you during the villa at night. Right? I can give you that price, but you have to pay right now in cash. I can give you that price, but that means the deposit will be different, right? I can give you that price. So you have many controls, and that's how you actually then decide what to give in exchange for what. So this then becomes the basis of how you can become a stronger negotiator in these particular conditions. Now, yes, we have one, and that's good. That's why it's a silver medal, but there are many more ways we could have gone to extract more. Okay, that's okay. I don't want to use that word extract. It's not a nice word, but what I mean is you can get it your way. You can get them to pay even more, right? If you really, really know why they need it, what they're looking at. Because here's the thing. Don't think about it from your point of view. Think about it from their point of view. Great. This is the part where the discovery matters, okay? You just earlier when I read your discovery, that's really not discovery. Let's go back to what Gray wrote for discovery, okay? Let's try to imagine what discovery is. If so, we can close that. Let's go back to Gray's analysis in the discovery section. Okay, her discovery is guess is always straightforward and to the point, so it's better to talk to her straightly and offer what she's asking for. That is identity. That is identifying who this person is. Discovery is knowing why, right? Discovery is knowing essentially why they want this compared to what. This is how you actually negotiate. Compared to what? Compared to what? So if they don't get this villa, what is the next best villa that they have? You can even ask that, right? You say 3.7 million. Are you getting any other offers from anybody for 3.7 million, right? That would be a really good compared to what question. Yeah, do you understand, right? So instead of thinking, oh, okay, I negotiate at 3.7 million, I would say, do you have any other properties that you're currently looking at that are going to give you 3.7 million? And they go, no. Or they go, yes. You can be like, really? That's really cheap. Can you show me? Right? No. Okay. Well, that means you don't have trust, right? They're not giving you the facts. So then you would need to go back, build trust again, and develop that cycle. But I would start with that. I would start, do you have a deal for 3.7 million for some other property right now? I go, no, I was hoping to get a deal here. Oh, okay. So you're paying this now, you're asking for this now, but compared to maybe not having a place, yeah, with what you actually have right now at the current budget that you're paying right now, would you rather to take that risk compared to what? So that is good discovery. You need to discover compared to what? What do they also have in their hand? Okay. If they have something else in their hand, and you don't look so good, then they might go with that other option. But if they have nothing in their hand and this is still better than nothing, and they're running out of time and they know you're flexible about the payment, then you don't need to go down. You'd be like, well, I don't know if you're going to get anybody else that will accept you paying on the 18th this many days past the due date, right? So compared to that, this is still a very good price, right? And you can continue at the same price that you paid before, and we will let you pay later. So that's how I would look into the discovery. So when you discover, you're trying to figure out what are their cards, what are they holding there. Okay, does that make sense, everyone? In terms of what we can take away from this, but it's a really good example. There's a lot of good takeaways here, and listen, I'm sharing these things so that you all can master negotiation, right? You can see like, okay, that's okay, but if I really want to master this, then I can think this way, and I can really good at it. This is what would be amazing if this guy offered to pay more for a renewal, right? Why should they pay more? Because hey, you already trust us. You don't need to do anything else, right? You're happy with what's going on now, and then we're allowing you to still stay here, even when we have other guests that might pay more for it, right? So that's how you can negotiate the opposite way too, and get more for the same deal. If you don't have, then don't make that up. That destroys trust, and it's not good integrity. But okay, it can be seen both different ways, right? The typical way that a lot of people negotiate when they're beginners is that they give. You don't need to give. You can just stand, and they will book anyway at the end, and that's okay, right? That then shows you know what you have, you know what they have, and you can win on that. It's like playing poker. Okay, so those are some takeaways that I would see from this example. But thank you for sharing, Gray. Thank you for being transparent, Gray, and sharing us all the details as well. It's very helpful to see the conversation flow.
Thank you, Mr. Jing. So, Gray, what do you think?
Yes, I gain a lot of new insights and a perspective actually. So yeah, I
Yes.
probably can try to apply it on my next deal. Yep.
Okay, thank you, Grace. So we can conclude that we in negotiation we're not always giving and giving, but also we have to like make an exchange, yeah, and discover more. And also don't forget to always ask their budget if the guest reviews about our best deal. Secretary, please, Kak Gray, help me
Muji,
to yes,
one
Mr. Jim.
thing, I know I gave a lot of explanation there, and sorry, I'm a person who just apparently everyone says I love explaining things, right? So forgive
Yep.
me. But if there's one thing that you can take away from it, just take away this, right? If I can do this, what can you do for me, right? If I
Yeah.
can, what can you
Mm-hmm.
do?
And
That
when?
yeah, and when, right? Because that is essentially the structure of any. If you're at the pattern matching, if you're at the closing the
Mm-hmm.
deal segment, don't close the deal without trying to do that, right? Because otherwise you might give away too much. If I can do this for you, what would you do in return? And then that you
Exactly.
have a structured, well balanced trade, which is good. This is stage five, right? We generally are working on one, two, three. This is the stage five for the close.
Yep. Begin.
Thank you, Mr. Ching. If I can do this, would you do this too?
Yes. Mhm.
That's good. Okay, the cast will be done. Yeah, great. Thank you so much for bringing this cast. The next topic will be from Kanadine. Please, Kanadine.
Okay, thank you, Muti.
This is great. Where did you find this?
Yeah, so we have this
School.
framework. We call it, yeah, sorry, yeah. to categorize people personality in general. Basically, we have known ethos, pathos, and logos actually, and I'm looking for the best easily understandable visualizations for everyone. And yeah, apparently I understood by this picture as well, right? So here is what happened in BD lately.
Mm-hmm.
And this week we have been there are some partners that actually considering to stop the partnership because of um the revenue generation doesn't meet the projections, right? So our current work is now more to how to actually how to keep them, how to negotiate with them to actually stay, um, because I mean this is the priority at the moment. So, and my question is, Mr. Jing, actually, um, we have these tools, right? Like mirroring, labeling, and calibrated questions. But I sometimes I wonder, does our tools now supports for all the three category? Because my experience, I found label and mirror doesn't really help to encounter logos. But I don't know, maybe it's just me that didn't do it correctly, or is there any what kind of label, what kind of label to do with logos, and what kind of acquisition audit to do with ethos, something like that. So I feel like I'm confident enough on encountering pathos and ethos, because mostly like bully very attached with me, right? Because she is a very pathos person. But these two partners that now considering to unpartner are logos. So whenever I tried to label, they they didn't respond. Whenever I try mirror, they kind of like only say yes, yes, something like that. And yeah, I don't know what is the best approach to actually um handling logos, because if I I'm becoming more data driven on talking to logos, right? And I found it like there's not there's no negotiation tactic that I'm
That's
using
incorrect.
when
That's
I.
That's not correct. Wait, let's go around. Nadine, I have an explanation, and I've got some experience. And I'd like to expand more on how you can negotiate with people who have a logos mindset, right? But let me
Yeah,
actually
sure.
go to Jabron first, right? Jabron's kind of also new here. Let's go to him. Jabron, do you find it easier to persuade and talk with people who have ethos, pathos, or logos? Which framework or which mindset generally do you find easier for you to approach?
Or do you mean for me to do, or for me to
For you to
respond to
do.
people
For
who
you
are
to do. If you're
ethos?
talking to, let's say, a logos person, do you find it easier to persuade them, or do you find it easier to talk to an ethos or a pathos person?
Aha. Um, I find it most easier for logos because I can clearly see like the pros and cons.
Okay.
But I think fall for the pathos one the most because of human psychology.
Okay. Okay. Very good. So, okay, Gibran goes to logos, but he is affected by pathos. Yeah. Okay. Does anybody else have anything that they would like to offer? How do you actually negotiate with the logos person using the tactics that we currently have? Okay. Let's.
Maybe Nadine gave a case and then ask the audience to tackle from the idea
Oh
Nadine,
yeah. Yeah.
so that we have basically a real case, like maybe use like siapa ya, Bu Akasa, or the other one, uh,
Let's use a customer.
Aurelia.
Yeah.
Aurelia.
Okay.
Yeah. So which one you have like facing? Is use the real example. What is the owner now state? What states the owner now, and then what is the goal and how to get there? So maybe that will help the audience to basically how to tackle it. Yeah.
Yeah, but basically all the cases is one. They have the same case, so the revenue generation is not meeting the projections that we
Correct.
gave at the very beginning of the partnership.
Hmm.
So uh, as we know, right, handling logos, we need to show data, something related to data. But how if the data is truly disappointing? We don't have tools, right? So that's my confusion actually, sir.
Okay. All right. Let's use our 5-step framework, everyone, to detect where the problem is in this particular case. So everyone, I think, understands it. Basically, we promised that, hey, you're going to make this much every month. The actual reality is after that amount of time, you didn't make that much that month. So then, where is the breakdown? What step is the breakdown in? What do you think the breakdown is?
I think the step the breakdown, we didn't get the revenue.
No, in the negotiation process, where's the breakdown? Step 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5?
Oh, I see. I think we in the five.
No, no, we've already closed the. Oh well, we kind of closed the deal, but that's not why they want to pull out. Let's go over to yes, great. It's in step 2. So step 2 has actually happened now. They don't have, we don't have their trust. Right? We promised to do something, we didn't do it, so of course they're not likely to trust you now. Okay, so that is where the breakdown is, and that's where the repair has to begin. So Nadine, in this particular case, logos, pathos, or ethos, I think it's go back to trust building tactics, right? You have to start with okay, you have to know what you're negotiating for. Okay, you have to know what you're negotiating for, and please remember this, everyone. Negotiation doesn't work on a product or service that doesn't work either. Okay, negotiation doesn't work on a product or service that doesn't work. So in this particular case, you're trying to base your relationship based on what? Based on the viability of this product or service. And clearly, in this particular case, we have failed. Okay. So that part you need to acknowledge. There needs to be a clarity that somehow we have failed. We have not delivered what we have promised. Now, let's go back to understanding why we have failed, right? Did we fail because we didn't do enough or that we promised too much? That's more of a BI decision, right? Because they need to understand, okay, is it the projection that's wrong or the operation wasn't able to actually deliver it? That part I think is can be delegated to understand that part. But we need to know what we want to negotiate for this time. So we have failed a first time. We want to negotiate for what exactly? We want to negotiate for a second chance. Okay? That's what we're negotiating for. If we're negotiating with a logos person, then you just need to build a case for why you deserve a second chance. Okay? So let's go back to the very beginning again on stage 2. If this has happened, remember, you need to build trust. So building trust can be the most effective tool probably at this point, Nadine, accusation audit. You're probably disappointed that we haven't reached the goals that we've initially promised you at the very beginning. You're probably thinking that Bukit Vista doesn't really know what it's doing. You're probably thinking that I should be looking for other options by now. You're probably even wondering why we hadn't told you these things earlier. Okay, that is a great way to just clear the air right from the very beginning. Right, you get all the things that they could be upset about this thing that makes them want to leave. You air all that out first. Okay, by airing all that out first, they don't need to persuade you now what's wrong, and they go, you know what, that's right, and that's what you want, right? You want them to go, that's right. That's exactly why I want to do this. But guess what? When you get to that point, you've built trust again, right? Now you've built their trust. Now they don't have to go and tell you what's wrong. They don't have to go through the exercise of screaming at you and doing whatever. Okay. So then this is where you need to get that trust back by accusation audit. Go through everything that could possibly be wrong. Go through. Perhaps you're disappointed that we have not been able to perform in this marketplace. Perhaps you were hoping that we would be more innovative. Perhaps you were hoping that you would see more guests or more revenue by now. Just go through everything that you could possibly think of. Okay. At some point, you should get a reaction from them. They go, "That's right. That's exactly what I'm talking about." But if you reach that point, that's a really good point. Even though it looks like you're failing, you're actually succeeding at this point. You're actually coming back to this point where they trust you again. Now, a logos person will appreciate that because they know not too many people will actually be as easy to talk to as you, right? Because you are being logical. You are actually being very, very straightforward and being very transparent about where the issues are. Now, this is where you need to have a plan for how this is going to change. So you need to then start going to discovery. I would go and try to discover this. I would discover. So now that I've told you all this about this, I want to hear your feedback from me. Is there anything else that I have missed that is still motivating you to think about dropping out from Bukit Vista? And they will either give you some more reasons, right? Yeah, you got most of them. Why didn't you take any action sooner? Label, right? Sounds like you were impatient about our quality of service, right? Yeah, that's right. So that's what you want them to do. You want them to start kind of offering. You want to get them to start talking. They won't talk unless they believe that they can trust you. They believe that you are actually not trying to get them distorted in their reality. So be as straightforward, acknowledge the failure, and just go into what is wrong at the moment. This is a strong move. Okay, once you've done that, once you've gotten them to start offloading and telling you everything that's bad, then you're pulling yourself out of the hole. They will tell you, you know what, I thought you would do this, but what I saw was actually you doing this, right? I thought this would happen, and what I saw with this. You want to get all that information out because now you can feed this pathway back to operations. You can feed it to BI. You can feed it to the other parts. Oh wait, did the internet cut out? I think it cut out.
No, masih kok.
Really? No, my thing's dead. Oh, okay. Sorry. Wait. Give me a second. Give me a second.
Masih kok.
Yeah. I got my connection. Connection interrupted.
Use another itu. Let me see. Ya itu.
It's Live Forever One, yeah?
Forever aja.
Aja?
No. I mean just nggak ada adanya. Live forever. Period.
Okay, let's see. I think it's
Like
Live
that.
Forever One, right?
Kalau Live forever one, the you use
Let me
the
see.
one and then go use with one.
Yeah? Okay.
Aurelia.
Okay, you're back, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so accusation audit, get them into a mode where you can discover, get them in a mode where they start talking again. As long as you've done enough beating yourself, logical people will generally be okay with this, right? They will understand this. Then discovery. What you're trying to discover is this: do they have a better option at the moment? And do they believe that it was all your fault? Okay. That's what you want to start getting them to consider. I would go into this kind of questioning, right? So, okay, now that we're talking, now that you told me everything that wasn't right, do you believe that there could have been, let's say, a condition in the marketplace that might have resulted in this disappointing situation, right? And see what they say. Yeah, this was bad, but I thought Bukit Vista could do better. And then you can dig a little bit further. You can be like, okay, so they, the government closed down the airport. How am I supposed to do anything about that? All right. Put them in your shoes. How was I supposed to do anything about that? And they go, well, you can't, right? Well, I gave you a projection. Okay, yeah, let's do a role play. That might actually be very good. Okay, Nadine, let's pretend that you're the villa owner, and I'm going to figure out the situation. Okay. All right. So I'll call Nadine up.
Okay,
I'll
okay,
say,
sure.
hey, good afternoon. Is this Nadine?
Yes, it's Nadine. Yeah.
Okay,
Good afternoon.
fantastic. And my name is Jing, and I'm calling as a representative here at Bukit Vista. Do you got a few minutes? I can like to talk to you about your satisfaction with our services over the past few months.
Oh, okay, sure.
Okay, fantastic. What's been brought to my attention recently is this. I understand that you're probably not very happy with what you've been seeing in your villa, and you're thinking about probably ending your contract with our company. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually, I'm considering to
Okay.
end the contract.
Okay, you're considering to end the contract. Sounds like you have maybe a little bit more that you might want to tell me about that?
Yeah, of course, because I want to see the summary of the performance, right? Since our contract is only for 6 months, so I need to see the summary of the 6 months performance with Bukit Vista.
Understood.
But these things that make me disappointed is actually if you remember the 2 months uh 2 months at the first 2 months we have been partnership, there is zero occupancy. So I because your projection that you gave to me, it's very different with the fact with the revenue that generated from your company. So you can see for the first 2 months you didn't give me any occupancy, only one booking in 2 months. So that's very disappointing. Your projection shows me a very high number. So yeah, let's see the summary. If the summary of the 6 months performance is not really satisfying,
Mhm.
I will definitely end the contract.
Sounds okay. Well, what I've heard from you is this, that you're looking at the summary and you have been disappointed with the performance in the first 2 months based on the occupancy. So it sounds like you want to take a look at the overall summary at this point and make a decision whether or not to continue the partnership based on that. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. I've taken a look at the summary, and my opinion is that it's actually terrible. It's probably as bad as it can possibly be. So I in this particular case, you're probably wondering this, right? You're probably wondering why you're still talking to me at this point.
Yeah. I mean, how do you know that? How do you project already the summary of the 6 months performance?
Well, I've taken a look and I saw that on every single month, Bukit Vista did not achieve its projected revenue. And from an owner's perspective, you're probably wondering why you're still with a company like this. And you're probably even wondering why you didn't quit earlier.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I prefer to manage by myself then.
Okay. You're probably thinking that if you have more control on yourself, then you could have placed your trust in a better place instead of putting it in Bukit Vista. Is that correct?
Yeah, I prefer to manage it by myself, right? Because when I go with Bukit Vista, I cannot advertise and market my property in anywhere else. You take over all the controls, right? I cannot sell if you don't give the gas, then there will be no gas in my villa, right?
Yeah,
So
so it sounds
I
like you
prefer,
regret your
yeah,
decision for going with Bukit Vista at this point.
yeah, kinda, yeah, kinda.
Okay, okay. Well, look, I'm here today not to really do anything beyond this, right? I know that based on the promises that we've given, we probably have a lot to do in terms of rebuilding trust with you right now. But let's do this then. Going on your own, I think, is also a new endeavor. How do you know actually that if you managed it yourself, you'd be able to necessarily do better? This is a very unstable, very difficult time right now. What sort of tools, what sort of expertise are you bringing to managing the property yourself?
Okay, let's not talk about the expertise, but the very simple example.
Mhm.
The price that you sell right now, it's the same price when I sell it by myself. But now I need to share 15% to you, so that makes my revenue, my net revenue is lower, right? Because I need
Mm,
to share the 15% with the same price.
understood. So
But
it sounds
if
like
you can actually sell higher than it and still get the occupancy, that will be very beneficial for me, right?
interesting. Okay. So it sounds like you're looking for value. You're looking to get, let's say, uh, more utility out of your villa by allowing Bukit Vista to manage it. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah, that's actually what I hope. I thought Bukit Vista can sell my property better, can
Mm,
sell the property with the higher price, with the higher occupancy, something like that, because I feel confident managed by myself. But somebody approached me, which is Nadine, I remember,
mhm.
and I thought Bukit Vista will be a new refreshment for me. But I see the performance is just like the same, even worse when I manage it by myself.
I see. Okay. Well, let's consider a few other conditions maybe. Could there be any other reason that, let's say, the performance that you saw with Book of Vista wasn't what you had hoped?
No, actually, that's it.
Okay.
You cannot prove that you are better than me.
Cannot prove that I'm better than you. Well, I don't want to be better than you. I don't want to compete with you at all. We want to inspire delight after all. Okay, so let's think. What would you have done were you me at this point? Let's say you were managing your property through the pandemic over the past 6 months with the Omicron, with doing quarantine, but having the quarantine moved to Jakarta. What would you have done, let's say, to improve the revenue? Because maybe there's some ideas that we haven't tried yet.
Yeah, I I basically have freedom to market my property before I join Bukit Vista, right? I can sell my property everywhere, even to the agents, to anybody, yeah, anybody, and it's fair
Hmm.
when they give us gas, then I will give them the commissions. I mean, you do the same thing, but you have the exclusivity, which is I cannot control anything now.
I see. Just earlier, did you want to have more control or did you want to have more revenue?
Yeah, I don't mind to be exclusive if you can actually give the good revenue actually.
Okay, so let's try to understand this a little bit more, Miss. Let's say compared to what other options, let's say besides managing by yourself, if you were managing by yourself, would this would you believe that the situation could have been improved? Yes, you would have the freedom, but would you have been able to achieve higher revenues given what you saw in the market conditions?
Yeah, maybe not doing better than you, but
Mhm.
maybe the same without sharing the 15 commissions, right?
I see. I see. Okay. Well, how about this? Why don't we do this? Would it be what does a future plan look like? Did you still want to, let's say, manage yourself and take the time to begin anew and coordinate agents, coordinate OTAs, or would you like to see better performance from Bukit Vista?
Hmm. Yeah, let's see the summary dulu lah
Okay.
at the end of the month.
Okay.
Then I
All right.
can decide.
Let's do this then. I think this is perhaps a good vision. So the past 6 months have been very difficult, and I do acknowledge that there are some things here that we can certainly have done better. There's also things that are just very difficult, I think, to project into the future. And I, for one, will be the first to say that I think our projections did not actually meet the actual expectations and the revenue. So let's do this. Let's take a look at those projections. Let's see essentially if there is room for improvement and build from there. If there's no room for improvement and you would like to actually do this on your own, then by all means, we don't want to set you back. But if it is a condition of where the best has actually been done, but it was due to other factors, then would that be a good reason to reconsider your partnership with Bukit Vista?
Oh yeah, sure. If you can show me the what the actual causes actually.
Okay, so it sounds like you're a pretty logical person, and if we can actually discover what the facts are, then we can have a satisfactory amount of trust in this relationship.
Yeah, yeah. I want to do it fairly aja sih. You give me projections and then
Mhm.
you cannot achieve that. Yeah. What can I say?
You can't say
I just
anything. You have to tell us the truth.
yeah. So yeah, let's see lah the monthly the 6 month summary actually. I'm
Okay.
looking forward for that.
Okay, let's take a look at that, and then let's make some decisions based on the results of that summary. Okay, Mrs. Let's see. What was the name here, Mrs. Ibu Vani? Thank you very much for your time today, and let's build from there. Okay. Whoa, that was a difficult simulation. Now let's see. Nadine, what was I doing correctly? What could I have done better? What did you experience during that negotiation?
Mm. Actually, I I really really the things that I noticed from you is you you did the accusations audit very open, and then you deliver the bad news very apa ya, calmly, and you don't take it as a burden actually. That's like, yeah, when you say that, oh, the projections, you want to see the projection, I will be the first person say that no, that we don't achieve. I
Mhm.
mean, yeah, I'm quite surprised that you would say that on the
Oh yeah,
first attempt actually, sir.
logos, right? If I'm dealing with the logos person, why would I contradict them on fact? So a logos person doesn't like to contradict on fact because they would just get pissed off at you, right? Why are you trying to tell me that this purple bottle is red, right? Stop trying to tell me
Mm.
that. It's red, right? It's clearly red. The
Oh
thing
no,
oh,
no, sir. I thought you will do show the data later on the summary sessions, but not on the
oh
phone,
okay.
the onwards. But I think that's the correct way that you did. I think
I
that
think
I could
look,
do that.
for logos people, you either hit the mark and it's correct, or you don't hit the mark and it's never correct. For logos people, there is no sort of like, oh, I'll give you some brownie points for that. You give it a shot, right? So
Mm,
that I think is important to identify. Logos in many ways is the simplest type of user because you just need to do what you said you do, right? And that's the basis of the relationship. In this particular case, Nadine, a lot of the fault isn't a lot of the control isn't with you. The control is really with the quality of service and the product that we do. The control is in
mm,
here, actually. The control is, could we have forecasted better? All right. So this is where you need to understand what's the method of forecast. Did the forecast actually progress? Like you can go back 6 months and see what the progression was, right? Through those 6 months. Did things start getting better? And then Omicron came and then made things worse. Could we have forecasted that there would be another variant of COVID coming out at the time? So maybe that wasn't part of the forecast. So that could be actually the reasoning there. Okay, you could say the forecast didn't actually put into account Omicron. And if you want to do this yourself, you would still have to deal with that, right? You would still have to deal with the travel industry being slowed down due to the new variant of COVID going out. So that could be said as a improvement in, let's say, the forecasting service. Or you need to analyze, let's say, what the operations were. Did the operations put enough single property optimization on these, right? Was the work actually being done? Now, if the work wasn't being done, then you don't have too much to say. It's an operational mistake, right? Or it's operational lack of effort, lack of motivation. But if the work was done, you can essentially bundle everything together and say, hey, projections are extremely hard to make at this point, right? We create projections so that you have a basis for understanding what we need to do, but sometimes these projections are hazy. Um, this is where we need to go back and actually develop better projections, though. This is where we need to go back and develop better operations because for logos, this is the most important thing to get right. What you can only do in a logo situation is to logically go to this level. What is their best other option? So, what I was trying to do through that is if you're telling me that your best option is essentially to manage this yourself, what I'm trying to understand is this, right? Is that truly better for you to do yourself or delegate to somebody else, even if they don't do, let's say, a fantastic job at it, right? Compared to what? If you had done this yourself for the past few months, would you have actually been more successful? Would you have actually gotten more revenue? And that is something that you need to kind of break apart logically with this person. Did you have the tools? Did you have the experience? Did you have the training? Or could it have been actually even worse in terms of revenue performance? So, this is why I asked you, Nadine, is control more important or is revenue more important? And what I got out of that was you want the revenue, right? You want the performance. The
mm.
control is only to support the performance. So, you can just focus on that particular argument then. If the performance is there, then Bukit Vista can continue. If the performance is not there, then we need to reevaluate where this comes from, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
That's what I noticed from your question too.
mhm.
That one, and also the last questions you asked, that do you So what's your plan? Do you want to see improvement from Bukit Vista, or do you want to control
Closing the
your
deal, right?
your
Trying to close the deal. Yeah. So
yep, yep.
let's go around. Nadine, was there anything else that feedback that you want to give me on that one? That one, to be honest, I felt a little strained. I was like, that is really harsh, right? And
Yeah, that's what happened an hour before the sessions. I call you.
oh yeah, did you get stuck?
Yeah, actually.
Okay. No, listen, like I said, everybody, please remember this, right? The purpose of having this chapter is long term. Remember when we first started this, I think Kyla was here. We said this is long term. Even if you fail the deal, but you figure out what all the problems were, you can put that into other teams to develop their services to improve better over time, right? So even if a particular deal fails, but you know that now your projections suck and they're not very good, and that's something that we need to work on in order to succeed, then that overall long term wise is good for the company, better than not knowing, right? So think of all this as this is kind of like we're telling you what to say after you've been insulted, and you're like, I wish I knew that clever comeback, right, that I could have said after that person insulted me. But don't worry, one day somebody will use it again and you get to use it. One day you'll get to use it again, right, at the right time. So you can put it in your pocket right now and carry it with you. But okay, the key here is this, right? There's a few things I'd like to do. In accusation audit is really, really, really helpful when you know that you have to be reality focused. Okay, sometimes negotiation we try to bend reality, but for logos people, they don't like to bend reality too much. They see reality as this is a box, it should fit in the box. So you need to see reality that way too. If it doesn't fit in the box, then we need to say the box isn't full, not just keep on trying to, say the box is full. Don't you see? Change the perspective. Change the perspective. No, 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 no. The box is empty, or the box is only half full. So in that particular, that's where you can at least start having a conversation that's based on trust. Once you have trust, Nadine, did I get you to go? That's right. Did you feel like, yeah, you understood what's my problem?
Yeah, I
Okay.
felt that way.
Good. Do you feel like then you can actually start talking to me once you have understood, once you have seen that I've understood your pain, your frustrations? Nadine's muted.
Actually,
Yeah, I
my
think
siswa
Mhm.
dari kalian.
I think you did the trust very well.
Mhm.
Better than mine with the reality when I talked to Ibu Foni, because Ibu Foni was talking like not really very open, explaining things like I did. But actually, I know what she's thinking. But
Label it.
yeah, but
Label it accusation audit, right? You're probably thinking this, right? You're probably
yeah,
feeling, why are you talking to me? You're probably wishing
yeah,
you could just write me an email and tell me to go away without even have to tell me these things, right? So all those things are ways of reducing it. But I will admit this, everyone. What made it, I'll be transparent about my own work too. Yeah. I felt like I didn't have a pathway. Because I didn't plan what is exactly what I'm asking for. I'm thinking I'm asking for another chance, right? So that's sort of like the goal, but I didn't make that very clear. Um, at the end, I should have actually stated this, right? Look, Ibu Fani, it's probably going to take a lot of courage for you to step up again onto the plate and give Bukit Vista another chance. Okay. But what I'm hoping to demonstrate is this, right? After we take a look at the facts, after we understand the data, maybe it'll become clear that perhaps this is still the best option, right? Perhaps the biggest problem isn't Bukit Vista. Perhaps the biggest problem is just this is a very uncertain time for a lot of hospitality organizations. And I can still tell you that we are still one of the last remaining credible hospitality organizations there. And though our projections and our revenue do shortfall in the past 6 months, we do have a habit of evolving and getting better at our work over time. So what I'd like you to consider is this, right? Would essentially giving Bukit Vista another chance be better than taking this and doing this on your own and starting again from the beginning again, right? So then that would force Ibu Vani into that position where she needs to make that kind of decision, right? And then she already can then understand and calculate on one side what's the benefit if I try to measure it myself, and what's the drawbacks for doing it myself, and then what is the benefits of continuing and leading Bukit Vista do it. That would have been a much clearer closing statement, I think, but I didn't get there Because
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't think of it at the time. Yeah.
Moreover, we have a plus point actually.
Mhm.
But for the first 2 months that we stuck, we didn't give any occupancy, and
Mhm.
then we had a meeting with the Ibu Foni, right? And then she gave us feedbacks, and then we improved a lot after that.
Oh, there you
So
go. There you go.
yeah, I
That's
think
an
that's
anchor.
the
That's an
plus
anchor
point. Yeah,
point. So
yeah,
you can
yeah,
say, hey, look, remember that time back ago when we had our first meeting and our performance wasn't good, but then you saw, I would not actually put that, I would let her say that, right? Did you see improvement after we had our first meeting, right?
yeah.
Okay. Then now we're having our second meeting right now, right? And so given that track record, do you believe we can still show further improvement or do you want to go back down to zero again? Okay. Now she has
Oh,
something to lose. Okay. This is Daniel Pink. You don't want, if you've been coaching somebody to get them better and then all of a sudden you fire them, it's like you've wasted your time, right? You go like, oh, what
yeah,
a loss. But if you feel like, there's a chance this person can still do better, then why don't I set my projection, right? And then you try to meet it instead of you setting your
yeah,
projection and then go from there. Then that would be actually a pretty interesting discussion. Why don't you give us a projection, what you think is a reasonable amount to make, and then we can talk about that then as the basis for
yeah.
reestablishing trust. So
Sure.
okay, that can be a direction, but ultimately, Nadine, I believe in this case it's also the product. You have to improve the product, or you have to give the feedback so that the product and the service improves. Otherwise,
Yeah.
no matter how much you negotiate, you can't change a thing
Yeah,
that.
that's why we will invite BI as well on the
Yes,
summary meeting.
I think so. Yes,
Yep.
definitely. Okay.
Okay.
Hopefully, let's go back to Muti then.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Jane. Thank you, everyone. We're already extended for 5 minutes, and there's a lot of things, yeah, to conclude. First one is we have to negotiate second chance, yeah, to the owner and why we deserve the second chance and build the trust again and occasion on it and let them tell what is wrong and build the trust again, being transparent about the real situation that happened and also give them the worst forecast in the next enhance their appearance and the tools that they have so they are really confident about independently selling the villa. So yeah, the occasion on it is the key. Kak Nadine? Okay ya. Okay.